Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Ryan.
And my name is Heather.
And this is the Confidence Through Cabaret podcast. And today we are super excited because we get to work with a wonderful, amazing coach, specialist in hypnotherapy and NLP, the wonderful Nazma Khatun. Hi Nazma, how you doing?
Hi, how are you? I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
Yeah,
Good,
we're
thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure to have you on the podcast today. Thank you for joining us.
I'm very excited to be here. I've been looking forward to it, so I'm very excited to be here.
Amazing. And we are really kind of all aflutter because we're super into and really interested in the sort of the processes behind NLP. And if anybody who doesn't know quite what NLP might mean, could you give us a little description of that?
Absolutely. NLP is basically, it's short for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. So neuro is the mind, linguistic is the language, the behavior, the way we act, and the programming is obviously is the way your mind and the language together, how you program as a person. So obviously I can go on about it, but neuro-linguistic programming is more of like a method from tools that you can use to improve yourself and become the best version of yourself in a very nutshell.
Sure. And how does that work for you? How do you use NLP in your sort of coaching style?
Sure. So NLP and hypnotherapy is a couple of the tools that I use in my coaching with my coaching clients and myself. There's also, I use other stuff like law of attraction, and I'm not sure if you're aware of Dr. Joe Dispenza, but he's one of the neuroscientists. He's very big. So I use a couple of his tools as well. So combine all of that together. I practice it on and then you've also got the EFT, which is the tapping. I don't know if you've ever done tapping. So it's a combination of all of that together. And how I use it is it really depends on individuals. So, what they come up with. So if there is a person who's struggling with mindset issues, and mindset could be really anything, could be personal life, business life. So my specialty is helping mums, mainly because I went through depression and anxiety, which I wasn't aware until I had my daughter was 3, my firstborn was 3 years old. And at the time I started my business, my first business. And I come across a mentor, a mindset NLP practitioner who helped me to increase my sales in my business. But at the same time, it really had a huge impact on my personal life. And that's when I discovered that I needed some work in terms of mental health issues. And it was then I was like, wow, I mean, just imagine how many mums like me or women, even other people that I work with. I also coach youth, so I'm a youth coach as well. So I was just amazed by what I had discovered in myself. And I thought there are so many people, I'm sure, like me. And I just got this urge to do something about it. So I got certified in those areas. So I got certified in NLP, hypnotherapy, youth coaching, as well as business. And then I started my journey from 2016 doing so. So how I apply those tools, it really depends on individuals. So a lot of people go through adversities through their childhood through to where they are now, and are unaware what's hidden in the subconscious mind. So NLP tool and hypnotherapy, especially, those are the main ones that I use, is to uncover those belief systems that's been hiding in the subconscious mind that's not serving them to do what they want to do in life. And so many of us don't realize that we're stuck until we come to a certain age, and then we realize we're not happy, we are not fulfilled, we're not living the life that we want. And it's actually those adversities, those belief systems in the subconscious mind has been holding us for such a long time. We start to explore them. So there's so many different ways of discovering those things. So there's different tools within NLP, different tools with hypnotherapy, and then of course the additional ones are EFT and law of attraction and all the other stuff.
So just for listeners, what is EFT?
Emotional tapping, sorry, freedom tapping thing. So you basically say affirmations and you tap into your different point of meridian points, and then you try and heal through that. It's really, really relaxing. It's almost like a meditation.
Yeah, and it's I've only briefly experienced the EFT therapy, but I think it is very freeing in our body, and it's amazing to me how much we hold in our body. So I think most people wouldn't be surprised when you think about neuro-linguistic programming. So thinking about how our brains, use language and program and respond, but I think a lot of times people don't realize quite how much is physically held in our body. So for me, tapping is just such a fascinating area, just sort of releasing things out of your body.
Absolutely. And I think when you do it, I remember first time I was doing it, I was like, that feels so silly. Why am I doing this? But only like after 5 minutes later, I was like, that was good. I want another one. It's so powerful. And you become addicted to it. And it's like, as soon as you know something's bothering you emotionally, mentally, I straight away just go. And sometimes you can't do it if you're in a public place. So you can just use your hand and just, tap away just one point, and that's good enough.
Yeah. So do you use tapping with young people?
I've used it with few, but I think with young people it's really hard. Sometimes they don't understand it, and could be too much. But then there are some kids who are more open. So it depends individuals to individuals. I assess the personality of that child. And then I will try. But it's with kids, it's more of, I'm sure you've seen with NLP, because I know you've got knowledge of NLP, Heather. So with children, I've seen a lot of tools, that storytelling tools from NLP works for kids. So I'd give a scenario and I'll let them act it out, and then you kind of take in those things that might be bothering them and what I can work on. Then if I see there is a need of EFT, then I'll link it in. So it really depends on the actual child, but majority of the time is mums, and then the mums that would say, okay, I think your work, I would love my daughter or my son to experience, and then that's how I would work with them. And it makes a huge difference, because sometimes children understand where their mum might be coming from, especially if it's a child 10 and above, and they see their mums going through certain emotional challenges, and when they see that they're working on themselves, they also want to be worked on as well.
I was just thinking, my children are grown now, but I was just thinking, actually, that's quite a nice self-soothe to be tapping, even if you're just tapping on the.
And my daughter doesn't even realize it. Sometimes she's doing it. My daughter, she's 10 and she's been doing it for a while. She's not even tapping sometimes. She's just moving her lips, and she's saying stuff like affirmation, and she'll just tap her fingers like that.
I was literally just doing that on my lap, just sort of going, and I was thinking, actually, that's quite a cool thing for young people, particularly in their teenager and the puberty and hormones and all of those kind of things. That's why I was asking that question, because I think young people a lot of times don't have the tools that we can access more readily as adults.
Exactly.
So how do you decide which tools to use? So you're working with me, and we start talking about what it is that I want, I'm going to guess. And then how do you decide whether I need to use hypnotherapy, NLP, EFT, talking? How do you decide on which tools to use?
So obviously we'll go through a series of questions. Where are you? So how are you feeling? How do you feel emotionally? What is the area that you want to work on? And then once you discuss about, sometimes people, mums would say, I'm not sure, but I just know I'm not feeling emotionally stable. I feel sad, I feel depressed, and all that stuff. So then we'll go back to what it is that when do they feel, at what time during the day, and break it down in terms of when they don't have a great feeling, how does that feel, and where in the body is it feeling? Is it in the certain area of the part of their body? What does that feel like? And more than often, it's hard for some people to explore where the feeling is in their body. So then that would be taken off to, okay, where does it come from? Let's talk about your childhood, for example. How was your childhood like? So if somebody's talking about their childhood and I see an impact from there, then we will go to use an NLP tool called Timeline, which we will close our eyes and we'll visualize the moment of where they were and what the experience was, and they will describe. And it's more than often they get emotional, and then you have to obviously ask them to detach themselves from that situation, because it could really deteriorate. It's almost because your mind doesn't know what's real and what's not. So when you're reliving that moment, you're actually reliving that experience, and that's not really good for the body, so, or the mind. So I will, instruct them to come out of that situation, and then, or once they're ready again, then I'll ask them to go back to that situation, and then I'll ask them to watch the situation from far distance rather than being in the situation, because that's what helps them to not get very emotional. And then obviously it can take a couple of minutes, it can take 10 minutes to go through the process. And sometimes in that timeline therapy, we can also discover other parts of that childhood. So it could be 3 different experiences that they've gone through it. So once they come out of that, once we've used that tool and I've discovered a couple more hints on what it is that they're struggling, perhaps it's a person that they want to talk to and understand why they did what they did, then we will use another tool called perceptual position, whereby they will pretend to be the other person and how the other person felt when they were treating them. And it's really interesting, because when you pretend to be the other person who wasn't nice to you, and how they characterize that person without really being that person, if that makes sense. And then they come back and they say, oh, now I understand why they did that to me. So then the other tool would be straight away, I'd get them to journal, and I'd say, write down what, if you want to forgive them, or if you feel like it's time to let go. And then they'll write it down. So I call it the forgiving letter. That's not part of NLP, but something that I've just used, created through the time. And it really helps, because when they write that letter, they feel like they can go back to it. Because when we are dealing with a certain situation to overcome using NLP tools, sometimes these emotions can come back again in the surface. And looking back at that forgiving letter makes a huge difference. So that's just one part of the example. So I can go on for hundreds of different ones. But with businesses, it depends. I mean, businesses, sometimes people have, procrastinate with their goals, or have imposter syndrome, and feel like they're not doing or meeting the goals that they want to meet. But what they don't really know what they're struggling with. So on those, then we look at, we look at the inner dialogues. So we look at the inner dialogues, what they're saying to themselves, and then I'm not sure what it's called, my baby brain is really not helping me now.
You are
Pattern interrupt. Sorry, so pattern interrupt. So there's a tool called pattern interrupt. So basically, we go through thoughts, 12 to 60,000 thoughts per day. Okay. And in those thoughts, we don't even understand some of the times that some of the thoughts that go through the subconscious mind, we are not even aware of it. So using hypnotherapy tool, which is sometimes I do the meditation, and ask them to affirm during those meditation. So obviously you have to put them into the hypnosis status. So first 2 minutes will relax them and get them to breathe, count for 4, then count to 4 to inhale, count to 4 to exhale. So 2 minutes of that. And then once they feel relaxed, then I'll explain how it is to get more into the theta brainwave, which is when we can access our subconscious mind. So I won't go into the brainwaves, that's another lecture in itself. So when they're in that state, then I will give them affirmation that will help them. So I am confident, I believe in myself, I am worthy, yes, my childhood may have been certain way. So looking at what we discovered in the timeline therapy, I'll take some of those information and then I'll revert that to a positive affirmation. So yeah, that's just in a very nutshell of a very basic, but some are very complex because you have mums who's gone through abuse, sexual, physical, mental, and that's a long process.
Yeah.
That's a long process.
It sounds like incredible work, though. I mean, really densely layered and packed. I mean, I really appreciate you kind of taking us through the ins and outs of it in lots of ways as well. And it's because it's so much. There is a lot of power behind this work. What was it that led you into NLP? What made you go, this is the thing, this is the tool?
So in 2013, I left work because I was being bullied, and I got bullied. That was my third time getting bullied by my boss. So I was working as an executive assistant at the time. I worked for 7 years in the corporate sector. During my time, I just felt like I was always trying to be someone to fit in, and that was like the third time being bullied by a third boss in a third company, different company. And it was that time I was like, you know what, I've had enough of trying. I can't do this anymore. This is not meant to be for me. And not knowing what I wanted to do, I came across network marketing through Facebook. I didn't know what network marketing was, but I started my first business in network marketing back in 2014. So for a year I was out of work and I just didn't know what to do. I guess I was in that place where I normally say my clients come to me and they're just not sure what they want in life. So I was in that place. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do and I was just blaming everything. I was like, why doesn't anything work for me? And when we're not aware of the self-sabotaging thoughts and behaviors, we land in that place. And some people are fortunate, and I feel like I was fortunate to land into network marketing, and where I found my first mentor, who was an NLP practitioner and a hypnotherapist, and he was helping me with my business, to scale my business, because it was doing great in the first few months and then it got stuck in the middle. I wasn't getting enough income, and my aim was to replace my full-time income. So when he introduced the NLP techniques and the hypnotherapy in my business work, I realized, without even initially noticing, I realized things were happening at home that was transforming in a positive way. So obviously, me leaving my job, my husband was great, he was supportive, but financially it was a big strain. So we were arguing at times. We were not in a great place, both of us, as much as he could be understanding. He's an amazing guy. He's always supported what I've done. And I remember just thinking, like, why is everything just falling apart? It's just, I've done everything. Like they say, the society teaches us, go and study, go and find a degree, go and find a job. I did all of that. So why am I not getting anywhere? So it's just frustrating. So when I was using NLP in my business through that mentor, it was really having a huge impact with some of the tools I was using on my personal life. And this was me I was 31 then. And at the time I was like, if this is how powerful NLP is, I need to look into using this more into my personal life. So I asked that mentor, I said, look, I'm having some issues in my personal life. Can we work on some of the stuff? And it just began from there. And that's when I realized I was going through depression. From the age of 4, I was going through depression. I discovered in that therapy session, because my parents were divorced when I was 4, and I was living with different family members, grandparents sometimes with aunties and uncles. So I've collected so many different belief systems that wasn't serving me through my lifetime. And not knowing that I was going through all of that stuff, and suddenly knowing I need to address it, I was just in a place of thinking, just imagine how many people like me are unaware. I remember just before I discovered this, I think maybe a year before that, when I was still in the corporate, and a friend of mine, my daughter's school, one of the mums, she said to me, you're very sensitive, do you know that? And I got so offended when she said that. She said, you're very sensitive, I think you might be going through depression. I was so offended. I came home and I said to my husband, this person I look up and I think she's so lovely, and how could she do that to me? So I was in denial, but I discovered it eventually a year later. So that questioned me. I thought I was there. I was that person who was in denial. And now I've accepted it. Just imagine how many mums I could help with my knowledge. So it just began from there, really. So I went away and found a school where I could train myself. And long story short, 2016, it all started. I'm here.
Wow.
That's incredible. What a journey through what a journey into this wonderful work. And thank you very much for sharing your story as well. Really just amazing that it's been able to be something you channeled in that way and get clear on stuff. And I think many people will empathize with the idea of not being able to quite say what's happening or to get clear on what's happening until, you know, we can learn a lesson, but then we don't often learn that lesson, I think, until sometimes many years later. So for your clients and the way in which you help them, do you find that there's often like a recurring theme where people have kind of gone, I don't know what this is, and this is the thing, like something's going off? What are the signs for people to look for when they're finding themselves sort of stuck in that space and they haven't quite figured out what the name of it is yet, you know?
The regular one is well, when I work with mums that are struggling with business, I've seen a lot of the common one that comes is the money block, because a lot of us want to go through a different phase. So if we go to an amount that we earn, we want to go to the next phase, and then the next phase, and the next phase. So it comes to time where the guilt comes in. So that's the common one that I have seen in the last few months that I've been working with mums. And recently I had a mum who wanted to, she was working offline. She's been working offline and she's made huge amount of money for her, the comfort that she was looking for. She was happy with that. But because of lockdown, things have gone down. So she was looking for, obviously come to the online world and sorry, I've got something on my throat.
You are fine. You are not. There is no problem. I've been doing the same.
So it's anyway. So she was saying, she was saying, look, I'm comfortable. She was affirming. I could hear her voice. She was affirming, I'm making enough money, but I want my business to go for somewhere else. But I have enough to go on holiday. My family is comfortable, and everything is good. But I don't know why I can't go to the next level. I said, there it is. You're comfortable. You're just comfortable, and you've already told yourself you don't need enough money. I mean, so you don't need more money because you already have enough money. So there's your block. So let's go back and look at where is that coming from. So she grew up in a very comfortable upbringing. So her family were always well off, and they had money always. And so her block was coming from her parents, where they said, we've made enough for you. When you grow up, you wouldn't need to work. You should get married, and then when you have kids, you'll get a husband who also earns enough. So you don't need to go out to make money because you have enough. So that's the belief system she had engraved. And time again, that's the one that she comes to every time she wants to go up a bit in her business ladder. She'd not realized that for a long time until we spoke. So I said, what if you didn't look at the money, and instead you looked at the transformations you're creating in your business? So just look at it like, I'm transforming people's lives. I want to extend that a bit more, and the money will just come as a result. So it's this pattern so many of us go through in our business. I still do. And it doesn't matter how much we are working on the money mindset. I think something that society, it's not just parents and people we grew up with, it's the society teaches us. Money is, you're being greedy for money, or money doesn't grow in the tree. How often have you heard that as a child? Money doesn't go. I know I speak to everybody and they always say the same thing, money doesn't go in tree. And I thought that's a very common thing. So I think this is a very common one. The money block is a very common one. And I love the fact that things are changing now. Like when I started in 2016, and how much people are embracing making money. It's not a bad thing. And it's a common problem. A lot of business owners give up because of that money, because they feel they're not worthy enough to make the money, because money is bad, and taking money from people is a bad thing. But what they don't realize is not, it's the energy that we create, is the relationship that we make with the money, because money is energy at the end of the day. And the energy that we create, if we already, it's like, imagine having a relationship and you keep telling your boyfriend or your husband or your girlfriend or your partner, I like you, but I'm not sure if we should be together. You know, so it's the same thing. It's like, I like money, but I don't want money in my life because it's a bad thing. So why would money come to you? Why would your partner stay with you if you keep saying that? So it's creation. I think once we work on it and we understand that money is an exchange for something that you want, you desire to have. That's simple as that. Unless you have intention that is not serving you well, you have a bad intention, which is something obviously you then really need to work on.
Isn't it interesting that it's such a, you know, we're all told from a young age to aspire to make money and to create wealth for ourselves and for our families and all that sort of stuff. But then, as you quite rightly say, it's always put into the same context of, you should definitely aim to make money, but if you make money, you're a bad person.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
No wonder people have that mindset.
Exactly. And we have a caption. Each job you do has a salary. So you've already made, okay, if my job is worth 30K, I shouldn't go more than that.
Yeah.
If my job is, 15K, I shouldn't go more than that. If I go more than that, then I'm not worthy because I don't have the skills. But, we all have ability to earn whatever we want.
Yeah.
It's up to us to believe that we can work on the skill set and attain that abundance when we clear our subconscious mind. It's powerful stuff.
It's interesting that you compare money to an actual physical relationship with somebody else, because we have relationships with so many things. We have, we have kind of, some of us will accept love from a partner that is less than we really deep down believe, but it's kind of, well, this is enough. This is okay. Yeah. My parents were stayed together because you're supposed to, not because they chose to or wanted to. Well, they did choose to, but they didn't want to. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes it's a generational thing, and it's interesting with young people because their boundaries are very different. But it's not different to how we work with food as well. Do you know what I mean? The relationship with things needs to come into question. And I think money is one of those areas where there is so much shame associated. We're not even really supposed to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Huge stigma. But I love it how much people are changing now. It's like more and more people are embracing working on money mindset. I get really happy when somebody comes and says, I've got money block. And I think at least you're aware of that. No, I wasn't aware. I had money block 4 years ago when I was started doing my coaching business. And the more and more we talk about it openly, the more and more it will be easier for people to say, yeah, it's okay. It's okay to wanting to earn money or make more money or have luxury in life, because that's what we are here for, to enjoy life, to create a life. And everything that is given to us by universe is to enjoy. And
absolutely.
It is it's very strong in in lots of particular areas, but I notice it a lot with artists. Since we're confidence with Cabaret.
Yeah. I can talk about that another day.
This time on a very special Confidence with Cabaret podcast.
And there's this stereotype, isn't there, about the struggling artist? Do you know what I mean? It's almost like we didn't earn it if we're not struggling.
Yeah.
It's not worth it if you're not in pain. It's not worth it if you don't struggle. It's not worth it if you don't blood, sweat, and tears it.
If you do accept money in whatever your artistry is, then it's kind of, you sold out.
Yeah.
I have an uncle who is the main dictator of what happens in our family. I'll try to be nice about it. But I remember when I was 16, because whatever we decided in our family, we would have to go and get approval from him. Not my dad, but him. So I remember I really wanted to do art, and I was passionate about it. So coming out of GCSE, I had a folder with all the work that I'd done, and I got A star for everything I did. And I said to him, I'm going to go to college and enroll for an art course.
Mm.
And he didn't even look at the work, and he says, what are you going to earn from that? Who are you going to draw? Naked people? What career path do you have in this? How are you going to feed your family? And I was like, at the time, obviously, I didn't know those are bad things that he was saying and not encouraging me. I thought, actually, he's right. What am I going to do with that? So I changed my career then. I changed it to totally something that did not even come to my thought process to do. I went to travel and tourism. And the things just, but obviously everything happens for a reason. I am pure believe in that. Everything happens for a reason. I needed to go through that path to understand and be where I am today. But just incredible how much the society has this weird kind of conception about what artists can do and what the industry can provide you. So yeah, I just thought I'd put that in.
Oh no, thank you.
I did the opposite actually with my youngest son. He's a musician, and he wanted to study something that he would be able to have a profession in, because money is a key driver for him. And yet, I convinced him to take music. He might be on a podcast in 10 years' time, going, "Yeah, so I could have made money, but." Convinced me to do something else.
For the new generation, I could have been a banker.
I think I feel so strongly that we should follow our passion and see where it leads us. It might lead him to a hobby, and then if a business career is his thing, that'll happen anyway. But why rush it? Do you know what? Get so involved in, because we always ask people, like, what do you do for a living? We always ask children, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that question makes me so frustrated, because what do you be? Why do I have to be something? Because I'm not a beast. I haven't done that yet, and I'm a lot older than that person. Do you know?
It's like, you're a child. How are you supposed to know what you want to be at a child's age?
I don't know what I want to be. That keeps changing. I mean, look what happened in 2020. How many of us have changed to being something else?
There's a pressure. There's a huge pressure on children, and I see it all the time. And I've experienced it myself. I'm sure you've experienced it as well. My daughter, she's 10, and from the age of 4 to 10, she's changed her what she wants to be like 110 times. And every time she says something, we're like, yeah, that's really good, baby. So you should, you let us know how we can support you. So she wants to be a teacher one day, then she wants to be an astronaut, then she wants to be a magician. So kids are not sure what they want. They shouldn't have to have this pressure on, at school they get this pressure. They have this I can't remember what it's called, but you have a World Book Day, they have a World Profession Day or something like that. So you have to go as what you want to be. That is a huge pressure.
Ooh.
Oh, my son's did. We went to something really bizarre. I can't remember what it was, but I refused to play the game as a parent.
Right.
So I went like something really wild, like something that nobody would aspire to be. I can't remember what it was. But it was just like, I just so strongly disagree with that what do you want to be thing. And it's part of the NLP about that's part of our programming that we don't even realize was programming, and that is deeply ingrained. Okay. So Nazma. So speaking of being, we would like it if you would imagine that you were taking to a stage, and remember the cabaret isn't any one thing. It's your narrative. It's an expression, and it could be anything. It could be singing, it could be dancing, it could be acting, it could be poetry, it could be just moving. It could be anything. I mean, literally anything. I'm just thinking about the act that Ryan and I both saw, which was Whale Calls.
Very, very
That's
impressive. That was such a good performance.
So it could be anything. So imagine you're taking to a stage and your cabaret performance is about to happen. What one prop would you like to have with you? Can be anything. What would you like to have on stage with you?
Wings. So when I was
One.
oh gosh, I don't remember, maybe 16. I used to love this song called, I don't know if you know this lady singer, I'm sure you do, Nelly Furtado, and she's got this song called I'm Like a Bird. I love that song. Gosh,
Yes.
every time I felt like I'm stuck or I'm just not clear on where I'm going, or I felt sad, that's the song I sung, and I imagine myself I'm actually flying. So I'd love to have a wing and just fly.
Oh, I love that.
I love that, and I love how fast you knew that. It was like boom,
yeah, boom, here it is.
There wasn't we not discussed this question beforehand. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
Really know yourself.
Right.
Okay, and so what would your stage name be? What would you call yourself?
Jasmine.
Oh,
Love that. Gorgeous.
I love, because my mom named me Jasmine. So my mom obviously was forced to leave us when I was 4. Right. But I don't know why I like the name Jasmine, because it just meant a bit more fun. Right. And more I don't know, there's this, I don't know, maybe because of the flower jasmine. Yeah. But I felt it was more creative, more fun, more, I don't know, they had this other kind of fun side to it. So I feel Jasmine is definitely my stage name.
Right. Oh, I love that.
Jasmine the bird. Oh, I love that.
Oh, Jasmine the bird. I love that it's immediately incorporated.
Absolutely.
You're ready to take the stage.
It's the NLP technique. NLP technique.
Jasmine the bird, welcome to the stage. Oh my God, I love that.
Oh yes, bird of paradise. Love that.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Funny.
Oh, okay. And one last question, which is a more grounded question. Mm-hmm. What is the favorite lesson that you have ever learned? Your favorite one. It doesn't have to be profound or big. Or what's your favorite one?
It's to be yourself, because you're the only person you can be. Honestly, I feel like I've been someone else all my life until recently, because we create layers to please the world, because that's what we feel like we need to do when we become an adult from a child. But when we're a child, we're this unique personality. We can be and do whatever we like, and we lose that as we grow older because of those experiences. And I feel like only recently I'm discovering the young me, because I was labeled the naughty child because I was so fun and I just wanted to do things that were fun, right? But that wasn't allowed because I was the child of a lady who left her child. So as an Asian Bengali Muslim, my grandma often used to say, your mom's left, she's created this reputation for the family, you must always look down, so you can't speak out loud. And I was loud. Gosh, I was loud. When I cried, I would cry, the whole village would hear me. When I laughed, the whole village would hear me. But that was my way of expressing. So I think that was taken away from me through the time, and now I feel like I've come back to it. And what I love is that my kids and my husband love that I am the me I am. Sometimes my daughter would say to me, like, are you my mom? So she loves it because she feels I give her confidence. Yeah. So I think the only thing, that for me passionately, I believe the only thing you can be in this world is just be you, no one else.
Yes. Yeah. Fully. That's beautiful. And I think, you know, exactly, it's that thing of like, when we embrace ourselves fully, then other people in our lives get to embrace that fully too. And that's the beauty of this, is that, you know, when we embrace ourselves and listen to our own internal voices and our own, and you know, internal strength, then all those people around us get to embrace that and love that too. And it means a more deeper, meaningful, happy relationship, which is just better for everybody.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
It's called conscious relationship. It's vital. If you've not heard or read about it, definitely read onto conscious relationship. It's being accepting yourself for who you are. And
and I have one further question for you.
Go ahead. I'm loving this. I can stay on this call all day long.
Well, okay, right. This is a big one. Okay.
Oh dear. Drum roll.
Where can people find you?
Oh, that's easy. So you can find me on Facebook or Instagram, Nazma Khatun Coaching. Either place I hang around. I don't know why I love Facebook more than IG, even though I get more contacts from IG.
It's funny,
you can find me either way.
Yeah, it's always funny, isn't it? There's always like one that you kind of choose or prefer slightly more in terms of interface. Like, I really enjoy Instagram for some things, but Facebook for others, and then Twitter for other things as well.
But it's interesting that you get more contacts from Instagram, and yet you live more on Facebook. I love that.
I'm too old. I feel like I'm an old person. I need to learn Instagram a bit more. It's the hashtag just does my head in. I think Facebook just post and post, that's it. With IG you gotta do the hashtags. Oh, the hashtags.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today, Nazma. It's been such a pleasure working with you.
I absolutely enjoyed thoroughly. I cannot believe it's been 1 hour. Like, honestly, it's just so fun. Thank you so much.
It's such a pleasure. And it's amazing how we just kind of met and jumped onto a call within minutes.
Exactly.
And it just kind of snowballed from there. It's just
I see what the environment you guys created is incredible. So please don't ever stop. I would love to come back again. And not just that, I think this is something we need in this community. I've not seen anything like it and the way Ryan and Heather, yourself, you told me the other day how you've put all this work together to help people be more visible. It doesn't give you the pressure to feel like I need to be visible. I absolutely loved it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. That means so much. That really does mean so much to us. Thank you. Oh. Well, I mean, I couldn't say anything more, especially at the after that. I'm very much befuddled with words now. But I would like to do one last thing, which is something we talked about earlier. It's our absolute wonderful affirmation. So thank you to everybody who's listening to this podcast today. It's been such a pleasure to feature Nazma and to hear her story. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been the Confidence Through Cabaret podcast. My name is Ryan.
My name is Heather. And this is wonderful, Nazma.
Sorry, I need to say thank you so much.
But today, it is and always your body.
Your body.
Your body.
World.
Your world.
Your stage.
Your stage.
Woo! Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Mwah! Goodbye.
Bye-bye.